And we are live. Hi, Denise. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks, Cassidy. How are you?
I am doing great.
Good.
So today, as you know, we're going to be talking about building a saleable real estate business, and you have firsthand experience on this topic. So why don't we just start off with you telling us a little bit about that?
Okay. Yes, I was full-time realtor, had been in the business probably about 15 years, I believe. Or actually, no, I'll go back even a little bit before that, because my daughter worked with me initially for about 4 years, and then she left to go into project marketing and pre-sales. So I was introduced to this young fellow, and I really enjoyed working with a younger agent. And I did have it in my mind that at some point in the not too distant future that I would probably want to come into a management role as opposed to being actively selling. So when I was introduced to him, I thought, okay, this young fellow would be great, and if I don't, kind of nab him, somebody else will. So I had a meeting with him, and kind of went from there. So yeah, it was identifying that I was looking for someone to work with, to bring on a junior agent who I could train and mentor and introduce to my database, so that when the time came, there would be an easy transition. And he was very interested in that. Was a good fit for both of us.
That's great. And how long before you were thinking of making this transition did you end up aligning with Neal?
It was sort of a transition of about 2.5 to 3 years. It kind of got fast tracked to 2.5 because the position of managing broker came up a little quickly. And but yeah, so it was 2.5 years from start to him taking over my business fully.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And what would you say, in your opinion, are the key elements to building a saleable business?
Systems are a big part. And, I have to say, I'm not the best system person, but you do need to have some systems in place. So, your database is in order. At the time, I was using, a CRM. So everybody was in there, excuse me, and they were all categorized. I did a lot of repeat and referral business. So we were very active in the CRM as far as, mail outs go. At those days, back then we were doing more of that. Emails and birthdays and Christmas calendars and all of that sort of stuff was in there. So yeah, it's got to be systemized, and everybody identified as to who they are.
Right.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, all those touch points with your clients and those marketing pieces in place.
Yeah, it's sort of the bricks and mortar of the business needs to be in place. You can't sell something that's not got some tangibility to it.
Structure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know another important piece of the puzzle is the contract that you had with Neal as he's stepped in. So could you talk a little bit about that, what that looked like?
Yeah, I kept it really simple. I actually did a little research before I put it together. I went out to 3 other team leaders that I knew had successful teams and asked them if they would share, A, did they have a contract with their team members, and B, would they share it? And they were very happy to share them. They were quite different. One was very, very simple, right through the other one at the other end of the scale. Apparently the team leader's father was a lawyer, and he had put it together. So I went through everything and thought, what do I want in this contract? And I prefer to be more on the simple side. So, basically outlined, who was responsible for what as far as expenses, who did the database belong to, and if new leads came in, who those belong to, and identifying them. And essentially, it was a 2-year contract, kind of what was expected as far as time, and mostly it was expenses and where the leads would and the clients coming into the database. So who's the existing, and then who's coming in, and also some proprietorship around branding, domain names, and that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, all important pieces. And if someone wanted to see a sample of that contract, is that something you'd be willing to share?
Absolutely. I've shared it, and as I say, it's very simple. So, but as a framework for someone, absolutely no problem at all.
Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. So, talk to me a bit about the transition or the handover of your business. How did that work?
Well, when Neal came to work with me, he was, in his late 20s and a brand new agent. So I did pretty much what I did with my daughter, and that was I did not call him a junior agent. I didn't say he was, a buyer's agent specifically. I just referred to him as my colleague. And so he basically started shadowing me. Followed me to all my appointments, and I introduced him to all of my clients. And, this is my colleague, Neal. We worked together. If they were sellers, then I would outline, if we got the listing, I would outline what Neal's role would be, when they would hear from him, when they would see him. And with buyers, same sort of thing. So as he became more experienced, and as my clients got to know him better, then it evolved in, more and more responsibility would be on his side. And he had more interaction with the agents. One of the things that was also important to me was that he proved that he could sell and that he could lead generate. So it was important that he be able to bring business to the table as well. It wasn't just a case of me feeding the business to him, which he did very successfully. And so we had and this goes back to the contract, we had a commission split that was outlined as to, where does the business come from, who gets what, how is this divvied up? Right. And so, he would also work with his own clients, and I would mentor him, but those were his. And I didn't get involved with them. As long as he was running with it and there were no issues, then he ran with it. And then with my clients, it really was just more introduction and them getting used to him working with me, and worked very, very well.
Great. And talk to me a bit about your client's response to the change and what that looks like now. I'm not sure how many years later it's been.
Yeah, it's been 10 years, over 10 years now. We were 10 years last May. And initially, of course, the clients want to deal with you. So this is why I said, yes, I'm the lead agent, but here's what he will do. So if we're listing your property, Neal will be making the appointment. So you'll have him on the phone. He'll be here helping me with open houses, putting signs up, this sort of thing. If there's a building inspector to be let in, you may see Neal. So we had sort of a list of things. The clients were very open. I did have a couple of sort of, I would say maybe a little bit more old school who, well, we want to make sure that we're dealing with you. And I said, absolutely. And, but as time went on and Neal proved himself, I found that resistance was less and less. And partly because they were introduced to the two of us together. When he first came on, of course, they were my clients and they had not met Neal before. So this was very new. Most of them did know my daughter, but, Neal was someone new. So took a little bit, but not long. I would say by the time we got the first 4 to 6 months over with, we got past any sort of hesitation on the client's part.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, he got to learn how you work and offer that same level of customer service that you do. And yeah, I'm sure that instilled a lot of confidence in them. Great. And so what would you suggest for someone that's thinking about developing an exit strategy? When should they start to, take steps in this direction to make that happen?
I would say ideally, you need, it needs to be sort of part of your 5-year plan. Now that doesn't, that's like, wow, 5 years out. That would be the ideal. Start looking, as to what you want this to look like. But 3 years, I think anything less than that, I think you're going to be, you're going to be challenged because, when you're selling a business, most of our business, of course, is goodwill. So your clients know you, and you can't just, there are times when realtors just sell their business, but often what happens is it just peters out because there was no introduction to the clients, and all of a sudden there's someone that they don't know much about, and so they will then go on to someone else. So you need a 5-year plan, I think, and no less than 3 years to really start integrating this. 5 years, I think, because it's going to take time to find the right person. It's got to be someone that you can work with. I mean, Neal and I have had a great working relationship, very much of his own mind. But and now the business is totally his, and he runs it as he sees fit. But very respectful of how I ran the business, and just evolved into his business as I backed out. So finding the right person is really key, and that takes time. So you may go through a couple of people, 2 or 3, before you find the right one, and then you've got to start integrating them into your business. So I would say ideally 5 years.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Mhm.
And what advice would you have for someone that is wanting to build a saleable business? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think no, it does take some planning, and I think if it's on your mind, if it's even just a little seed at this point, start putting your feelers out. There are lots of great new agents. Some are experienced agents. I've helped someone in our North Van office who had already established a relationship with a younger realtor, and so I just helped them tweak the contract. Definitely put it under contract. But I think it doesn't have to be a brand new agent. You don't have to get into mentoring someone. If you find someone in the office who is younger, who is already established and is looking to take over someone's database, it's a great way to build a residual income for the exiting realtor, and a wonderful way to build a business for that younger agent. So it's a win-win. And if you look at it from that perspective, I mean, here's your retirement plan. We don't, unless you've built your own pension, here you've built a business that has value. It's got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of value in there, but you need to nurture that and work it so that you get the residual income out of it. And I still have clients that will call me, and the last one, I'd sold a condo to them in 2012, and they tracked me down, and so I lined them up with Neal, and he sold their place, and we referred them to someone in Invermere. Worked really well. So you just keep the conversations going, but it does take a little bit of time. So keep your eyes and ears open for someone that might be a potential for you.
Well, thanks so much, Denise. And we're going to be continuing this conversation in 2 weeks' time on October 8th, same time. It's a Thursday. Going to be at 11:15, and we are going to be having yourself join us again, and also Neal will be joining us to share his perspective on what it was like taking over someone's business and how that's running for him now. So I hope that you guys join us. And I would assume if anyone has any specific questions about this, are you open to taking calls?
Yes, absolutely. And like I say, I'm happy to share the contract. And if anybody wants to, go in a little deeper on it, I'm absolutely just send me a text or an email, and we can set up a time to have a chat. Won't take long.
Wonderful. That's great. Well, thanks so much, Denise, and I look forward to our next chat.
Yes, awesome. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.